Well, hello there, everyone. Generally speaking, how this is going to go for the most part, I'm going to answer what I can. There is a lot that I can answer. There's a lot that I cannot answer. Can't answer is for a few reasons, just to sort of be upfront about that. The can't answer is because either we haven't technically been able to answer it, like how it's going to literally be coded, and I'm doing my best to not talk about things that don't have actuality or that I can't be 100% certain of. It's a great worry of mine is the way that a lot of crypto projects, especially in gaming, work is they take advantage of the fact that people aren't really super aware of how crypto functions, and so they make a lot of promises. You may have seen me complaining about this on social media a couple times or in other podcasts. So for us, it's big that we stick to it, and the team is pretty hardcore about it. So if I get off track, you may hear people going, I don't know, not yet, not yet. The other thing is there's a couple things we don't want to reveal because, cool times ahead. We want to make sure we nail a few things ahead. There's, the beauty of Christmas morning is presents. If everyone tells you what the presents are beforehand, it's a little tougher. So bear with us on a couple of those things. But for the most part, I'm really jazzed to be able to do this. It'll be fun. All right, Val. Shall we do this?
We shall, but I'm waiting for the first questions to come through.
Oh, has no one asked anything quite yet? To ask questions, you jump into the Emma Ask, and you do /ask.
And then type your question.
Yeah,
It looks like
then do your
there's some
thing.
questions
And we will just get going. And at some
Okay,
point...
so
Yes, Val.
I was going to say, while we're waiting, it probably would be a good idea for people who are new to this, like tell them who you are, and I will tell them who I am, and then just do a really quick elevator pitch of what is NOR?
Easy.
Why are we even here?
Well, I can introduce Val. Val, I will introduce you, and how about you introduce me a little bit? I will say Val is the lovely head of our community and outreach, and someone I've known for 20 years now, which is an exceptionally long amount of time.
This is a strange shift in our dynamic because I've always thought of you more as like a little brother, and now you're my boss, and I am still trying to get used to that.
I'm still trying to get used to being a boss, so we're even on that one. All right, Val. As I was saying, Val is a lovely head of our community. We've known her for 20 some years, and she's one of the reasons I actually ended up getting into the games industry. My brother as well, so someone I've known for a great deal of time and care a great deal about. So I'm glad to have you here, Val.
Thanks for bringing me along. And Brooks, who's also known, if you're in our Discord, and I hope that, well, obviously all of you who are here right now are in our Discord, but I know that this will be on YouTube and some other platforms later. So if you don't visit our Discord, you should. It's a great place with a lot of fun people. It's probably the most fun I've had at Discord ever. It's just, especially if you like memes and goofing around, it's great. It's very just laid back, full of fun people. And in Discord, Brooks is known as 1, and I am 1.2. But as you've heard this morning, I have a real name. It's Val, and I've been in the industry for a long time, most often using the name Pan. So I've worked on EVE Online, Tabula Rasa, most recently Dual Universe. Now, Brooks, to introduce him, uh, came out of nowhere. He was just like a lot of young people who have enjoyed video games their whole lives and would like to break into the industry and don't know how. Um, all I did was help him be in the right place at the right time. Uh,
Which is a
and
hell of a
beyond that,
thing. It's not a minor thing. Games industry, like most entertainment or really anything that is like a passion play, there are so many people vying for all sorts of jobs, and so any sort of help that you get is a huge amount. So I don't want to underscore that. Like it's my brother as well. Like both of us, we happen to be able to be placed at the right place at the right time, very much, and we took advantage of it, to say the least, and charged ahead.
and boy, did you charge ahead. Like LucasArts, and it worked with the Jim Cameron doing some cool stuff. Uh, your hero project. People can Google you. I'm not going to waste our precious Amma time this morning talking about all the amazing things that you've done. Like people can Google you and find all of that out. But you
Turns out I kind of
yeah.
do care about doing good work, and I've kind of worked my ass off. On top of had
Well,
extraordinary people around me. It's been a
somebody
great
on
ride.
somebody on Twitter said that they reserve the term genius for two people, and you're one of them.
But I saw that
So
comment, and I feel like they should get to know more people.
maybe so. Okay, so that's us. Now, very briefly, like in two sentences, tell us what Nora is.
NOR is what I believe to be the future of crypto gaming, where instead of utilizing crypto to harden the business practices of free to play and what has been called play to earn, which I find deeply exploitive, instead utilizes crypto to create the sports like economy around games as exists in soccer and baseball and football and blah, blah, blah. But instead for those sports, instead for video games and games we love and types of games that I really like to play. That's the very tiny little nugget version of it. It's been a passion project for about a year and a half now, where I first started like really kind of getting underway, working on what it meant, building paper prototypes and then building code prototypes and then learning how to make terrible things in crypto because I'm not a significantly talented engineer by any stretch. And it kind of has led to this point. So it's a short version.
Okay, and we have some questions queued up now, so
Mm-hmm.
let's jump into those. Aphos, who's one of our
AFOS.
Discord regulars. Yeah, we know Aphos. Under which company entity is Nor under?
So, very particularly how we're set up is the money has gone into Consortium9 Labs. Our investment token, all of that is focused there. This is where our DAO will be formed out of, and all of the building for the project, including the games, is coming out of that. NOR is not a separate company. It is the project of Consortium9 Labs. We just didn't want to call our company NOR. We want it to be its own thing because at some point we're going to be spinning it into a big old DAO to answer someone else's question, I'm sure, at some point. And once you do that, it's not yours anymore. And we wanted something that's ours that kind of sticks behind. So we've got Consortium9, and we've got NOR as the project.
Okay, from Flip 250K, is Nor a regular game or is it an open world for multiple games and worlds?
So the answer is yes and no. People tend to think of video games as one of two types of things, especially in crypto, because the word metaverse gets thrown around to my, I don't know, hatred. The way video games tend to work, let's talk about Steam, is you log into Steam as a platform. You log into Xbox on your console, you have PlayStation on the platform. And from that platform, you then have a library of games that you're able to play from. No one calls the PlayStation console a metaverse. Technically it is. It's the thing that exists beyond the games that ultimately is the connective tissue and a community that surrounds them. We aren't building a Second Life metaverse. That has never been the plan. We've had a lot of people who very much have misunderstood because everyone else is trying to do that. I have a lot of reasons that I'm not exactly a fan of that strategy. But for us, it's first we're building one game, building a template for a game, I suppose you could say, and a few games that go with it. Dream game of mine, we'll get into that, I'm assuming a little bit later. But we will have multiple games on the platform in the same way that you hear about logging in via Steam, logging in via Xbox, logging in via, whatever it may be, that allows you, the person, to be the connective tissue between multiple games rather than forcing you to, oh, hey, why don't you walk around this city or teleport around an alleyway? I have a lot of issues with what people define as the metaverse, I guess you could say. So it's intended to be very much, we're starting with one. We will have multiple. We will have multiples from other developers. The goal is, again, as I said, DAO, which means very much open. We want to have a lot of games on the platform. And the city is the connective tissue because the city is really just an abstraction of the people within it. And like I like to say, you are the metaverse. I don't get to make that.
Okay, that's a good answer, and that's a good spot to jump into the next question. This is from Aphos again. what will the NFTs be used for within the game? Now, we have a fun saying where we're like, we will burn your fucking NFTs. So this might be a good time to explain what that means and how the NFTs will be used.
Yeah, so the easy answer is that NFTs will really not be used in-game, at least as far as gameplay is concerned. Our use, when we say we're going to burn your NFT, you as a user, we kind of have two classes of users, and you're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming weeks. We have the mortals and the immortals. Mortals, very particularly, are the people who play the game. The holding a controller or mouse and keyboard, shooting people, playing chess, the players. I hate using that word specifically because the immortals are players of their own kind. They're the ones who are playing the economy. They're metagame players. That's really what they are. They like min-maxing. They like efficiency. They're commonly called whales, and I find it frustrating to not call them players. When we talk about either one of these, we are ultimately talking about the NFT that represents them. It's your NFT, you. So for the mortals, the people who are playing the game, it is essentially a two-factor authentication and vault system that allows you to have your data that is produced by the game and you kills, things you've done, all these fun things, heading your way right into playing the game. You two-factor authentication to sign in, and then a confirmation at the end. The strength of crypto, logging in security when it's done correctly, and I think there's a lot of power to be had there. So when we say we destroy your NFT, it's your login, effectively, that we're destroying, and not in a way that we can recover. That's, again, very much the point, that it is irreplaceably gone. But you'll notice we use the term mortals and immortals because one can die, the other can't. The other is meant for the metagame, and it is very much the same type of thing. It's your soul, your representation, your login, but it's not one that plays in the games. It's not one that can be put up for high stakes or whatever. It is, if you think of old Roman Colosseums, when you'd have the gladiators fighting and you'd have the wealthy patrons on top who support and take care of their gladiators and give them food and wine and places to live, all that stuff. They don't put themselves at risk. Their capital's at risk, their tokens, whatever it may be. So the immortals does stay above the fray. So it's a very intentional sort of split there. Again, doing our best to separate the two circles as they exist, play and economy. I hope that's a satisfying answer. It's a tough one to sort of describe, but essentially it's you. And beyond that,
Well, I mean, it gets a little bit it gets a little bit like more in depth. So I think that's a good starting point. And as time goes on, we're going to release more and more information, and then eventually, everybody in our community will know more about NOR than we do.
yeah, it's one of the, well,
And
it's one of those things that when people are in it, the goal for us is not to make a crypto game. Our goal is to make a gaming system that uses crypto, which sounds like it's a nuanced semantic bullshit thing to say, but if you've dealt with the user experience of crypto recently, I hadn't bought Ethereum in like 9 months. Like I just haven't touched it because we've been working and doing so much in transactions in larger scale, which is a different beast. But like personally, putting one Ethereum in my wallet, I couldn't. There was no way. I wanted to buy this NFT. I was really excited about it. Lo and behold, I just sat for like 2 hours trying to get it, and I had like 5 hours before my whitelist ran out because I wasn't paying attention to the clock. And there was no way for me to get the one Ethereum in my wallet. It just was like nightmarishly difficult. It took hours. And so when you're at this point of that's your user experience in crypto, and it's not improved. It actually feels like it's gotten worse over time. For us, making it painless for the average person to join, painless for the average person to deal with the world of crypto. It's why we have these nice byproduct, really, of us having these very simple in and outs, very simple use cases that make really clear sense for the user, what they're supposed to do and how they work. And as we're able to design out those flows, we have other people who I know, and it's probably most of you actually in this chat, who have no issue with a horrifying nightmare of like usability things, because what you want is you want a dynamic and crazy space where you can play with predictability and speculate and trade and do all the marketplace stuff, because that's where you guys really have fun. And that is, again, gets to be its own. But our big push is to sort of really play with how do we simplify, how do we make crypto something that the average consumer doesn't feel is a, Sisyphean nightmare in order to take part in.
Let's move on to the next question, which is from Jack of Hearts. What's the game theme of NOR?
The game theme of NOR. I'm going to try to interpret that question. I think so. So when we're talking about what the theme is, the way that we're setting up our first title is really about the chase and being chased. I early on talked about kind of a game I've been wanting to make for years, and it was a thing I used during my early pitches, and it's essentially the first title. One of my favorite movies from the 80s, I don't care what anyone says, I know it's not a good movie, but it is a great movie, is Running Man. There's something about that film I've always absolutely simply adored. It's funny, it's kind of 80s action hero schlock at its best.
Okay, for slackers like me who've never watched it or read the short story,
Running Man,
again,
Running Man, very basically, is different than the short story from Stephen King, even though it's based on it. The film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as a soldier wrongly convicted in a cover-up of the murder of civilians, thrown into work camps, eventually thrown into the stage production television show, The Running Man, which is a hardcore game show with an audience and all the stuff like Price is Right. But instead of guessing on prices, you're guessing who's going to try and actually kill the Running Man. And they have some WWE rejects, actual WWE people dressing up in these insane outfits and murdering people with chainsaws and hockey sticks and cutting people's heads off. And Arnold slowly murders all of them with the promise being that if you can escape this city as the seekers, the hunters, are chasing you, you get the big prize, big ball of money at the end, and you get to go to Tahiti forever. You get to have your sentence commuted, and you get beautiful women. They have this video. It's hilarious. It's very over the top. And I've always loved this idea of that, hunting people and being chased. And I think that's a thing games have always struggled with. The idea of why am I running? Why is that set up? There's not a lot of games that do the hunting, chasing thing well, and definitely not a lot of multiplayer because, again, the fear isn't there in the same way. And it's one of the things that was an impetus for us creating this and really me working on permadeath has been that I've made prototypes of effectively a Running Man video game. One person being chased by a few people who are there to kill him. That guy is slightly underpowered. Those guys are overpowered. How do you set this up to make it fun? You can make it fun, but you can't make it so you run. It never works. It ends up becoming, as I've always joked, Hiding Man. And that's the shittiest video game ever made, it turns out. So how do you make it so people run?
Yeah, let's segue into the next question, which is from Beyond Moon. He says, "Hi, you are awesome, and thanks for this." Well, you're awesome, Beyond Moon.
You're very
you
wonderful.
Are awesome. Can you talk a bit about the competitions within NOR? Are they all to be agility focused, i.e., for players to rely on their mechanical skills? Are we going to see some prizes?
So we will have a prize and tournament system, very akin to I'm a Dota person, so I'm going to relate it to the way the internationals run. Every year when they do the international, they sell a battle pass. They sell various things. We won't have battle passes and things, but money that's part of our system is going to ultimately go into a giant prize pot. So when you're putting yourself up, because we don't want every match to be murder, you need a practice field, and we'll have that. But we also will have a tournament field. Now, tournament field is where permanence is real, where death is real. We need to have a win out the other side. So yes, we will have very much prizes out the other side. And we have a pretty complex and interesting economy that we're looking forward to sort of setting that up with. I can't get too deep in because we're in the middle of literally deciding a few things. And I don't want to misstate, but yes, we will have ways for winners to be deeply rewarded in real world ways. But not through collecting 26 items through gameplay and the play to earn model, but instead actually winning.
Okay, so Aphos is like the Eminem today. She's like, guess who's back? Back again. 2 questions, even though we said don't ask compound questions, but these go together, and she submitted them separately. Will the characters have different attributes? Will these come from the 9? Will the battles be tiered by skill level?
Well, so let's say practice will be. We're assuming a traditional MMR system that may change. We have some modifications I'm wanting to make to that. But to go back to the other thing, it's a combination of the previous question too. Not every game is necessarily going to be this running man chase jumping thing that we're currently building. This is just my dream game, but I'm not in charge of this project after a certain point, and we will have lots of games on it. I'm looking forward to seeing how much we can get on there. We did some early sort of work ideating out how we might do even single player games, how speedrunning as a profession could be tied into what we're doing. The same principles apply, because ultimately it just needs to be about a game you can perfect movement in, a game that has a high skill ceiling where the best of the best are light years above everyone else, but that they're willing to take a chance, and that perfection is razor's edge with death on one side and life on the other. Chess can work with this. So as we start getting into how we set this up and what we set up, there's a really fun, massive number of games we're looking forward to bringing in. We have a couple already on the docket for ourselves. We're talking to partners. On that note, if anyone here is a game developer, owns a game company, has friends, we're actively looking for partners to help fund their game, to bring their game to life for our platform. And there is really only one rule, and that's that the game be focused on skill. Which is tougher because a lot of people, the line tends to be something, if you haven't played Lethal League would be like this. It's chess is like this, Dota's like this. Games that ultimately have really one level, and everyone goes, how can it only have one level? And the answer is effectively that in that one level, you have 1 billion miles of skill to travel before you're even slightly good. And that's the kind of games we're really aiming at. I hope that answered.
Well, if it doesn't, they'll
ask again. That's for sure.
And especially since it was AFOS, because we know AFOS is not shy about asking questions, and we're okay with that. Stiltsy said, so in order to play the game, you need to purchase an NFT each time as a mortal?
No. So you will need your NFT. So let's talk about the setup. We will have our game servers set up. Let's talk about just our first game. It's live. You've decided you want to play. You sign up for the service. In that process, we mint you the NFT for this. And it is not an NFT that can be transferred and sold. This is yours. There's a lot of reasons for that. We're working on. You won't want to trade it. This is not for sale. This is essentially just you. It's a login. It's your identity in the space. You can play and practice as much as you want. You never have to get another NFT. If you decide never to take part in a death tournament, you're good. Like, have fun. And we're down with that. People should be able to have fun and play games for free. I don't understand otherwise. But if you do take part, and let's say it turns out you got in over your head, and one of us murders you and you're dead and we burn your NFT, you'll log in again and you will continue, consider it a lineage, but you won't be able to continue taking part that season. And there are some penalties to death. There's some bonuses, some other things that we want to make sure we encourage you to return. But you will never have to buy an NFT as a mortal. Immortals, it's a different beast. But they don't die.
He also asked, will NOR be available on multiple devices and platforms?
Yes, it is the goal, again, to go back to the Xbox example or pick a thing. Right now, Netflix, if you didn't know, you can log in with your Netflix account on a handful of games on iOS. This is very much what we're talking about doing, having our login just as developers come in, they integrate, the DAO selects them, they do their thing, and then at some point they can be on iOS, Android, anything. We're very much, because of how we're handling NFTs and how we're not doing it in-game and they're not breaking purchase pathways, which is the issue that I think a lot of the first parties, a lot of the console manufacturers and Steam have, because people go in and they're basically just pulling money out of an ecosystem, and it's a big deal for those guys that they're able to generate capital in order to keep making consoles, because profit margins are kind of thin on a lot of that stuff. We don't have the same setup, so we actually have confidence we're going to be able to have conversations to get on some of those, but we'll be on as many platforms as God allows.
What will the be? Sorry, Gingerbread Man asks, what will be the ways to participate in the economy outside of the game?
So we call it the city, and you'll hear us refer to that as we get going. When we say city, we don't mean a Second Life walk around experience. We mean abstraction. We will have a city you will be able to look around and check out, but think of it as an abstracted version of the economy. And the best ways to take part in that are going to be an upcoming thing we're doing with the Immortals. If you are an Immortal and you have one of the Immortal tokens, you are going to be allowed to take part in it. And you're going to be allowed to take part in it first. It's a whitelisting system we have for a lot of the things we're doing. But anyone will be able to take part in that sense of as we get going and as death happens. The core sort of loop that we're playing with, at some point, each game will have what we've been calling the final round. We'll have cool names for all of these things, but the essence is that I will decide that I'm ready to compete, and the game will decide, the developers making the game, which happens to be us in the first case. Once that happens, the ability to take part in the final round will be opened up to the Immortals. The Immortals will decide, using a very limited number of tickets to that final round, which mortals they're going to allow in and they're going to partner with. The mortals will find their champion. They will choose me. They will choose Iphos. They will choose any of us who are decent at the game, great at the game ideally, and they'll contract. The same way an agent works inside of the world of real sports. They don't, agents don't play the game. Team owners don't play the game. They own the players who do, and when the championship happens, they are able to share in the upside. They're able to support their player. They're able to give advice and have a better understanding of the metagame as it's going. Oh, you're going up against these people. Here is what you have to be careful about. They're able to see all of these fun stats and take part in the economy, which is effectively the metagame that's always happening. These weapons, this area, that's the job of the Immortals. The Mortal's job is purely to just play, imminently, the exact movement as things move through everything.
Let me pop in and ask a couple of questions that are kind of
Please.
relevant to this.
Yeah, yes.
AGM, well, first of all, AFOS, again, I wanted to know, can you play as a team?
We will have team games, yes.
Okay, so yes, people can play as a team for some games. AGM asks, if the player is an NFT, I assume it will be tradable on the open market. How do you expect the ability to trade players to affect gameplay? Or will efforts be made to restrict the trading of players?
It's one of the great challenges the NFT space has done is made people think that like every NFT needs to be tradable. There's a power within NFTs just in pure security. Players are not going to be tradable. Immortals, different. We're talking about mortals at this point. Mortals are not tradable. They are locked to your wallet. They are you, very much. Now, the use of how our system works, where things get traded, is when we get to those final rounds. When we have the system of, we have system, it goes live. We have 1,000 tickets to the final round, 1,000 spots. The Immortals go out, they bid on these, they choose them. Those tickets, they then actually contract with a mortal. Then that mortal can't sell their token. It's silly. It's pointless for them. But the Immortal and that mortal can sell their ticket. That ticket is tied into a very specific place in line. A lot of other restrictions that we're allowing developers to sort of take part in. Use your imagination. There's a lot of fun stuff to do there. But that ticket is very much that spot. And there's a limited number of spots in any semblance of tournament or championship. Do you want to be early? Do you want to be late? Do you want to be early because you don't know kind of what's coming? Do you want to be late but risk that someone else has actually gotten further than you or bested you or some other thing? That ticket...
Riddle me this, Batman, since it's in line with that. A firebrand. I'm keeping an eye on the clock, and I want to make sure we get through as many questions as we can. And I mean, this isn't the only ammo we're ever going to do. A firebrand asks, does the character NFT get stored in your wallet on ETH or does it have to be bridged to a 12 hosting the metaverse? Wow, I hope you understand that
An
'cause I don't.
L2. So the setup we're not ready to talk about is literally that. We're in discussions right now with a handful of partners on selecting that. It's very positive, but it's not a thing we're ready to reveal quite yet. I will say again, the Mortal's not tradable. It's you. There's no value in that. That's not the setup. The value's in the things that you're able to acquire. We will have some level of items. They're not items in game. They're items for the city. They're items for other things. There's a lot to reveal. There's a lot to reveal there. But inside of the core gameplay itself, it's the tickets. It's the economy around it. I actually think it may be worth taking a moment. Chris, should I get into the full loop of what we expect the ticket gameplay to be? Give me a thumbs up message.
Yes. Yeah. He nodded.
So let's talk about Running Man. I think it's worth going through. We've been calling it jokingly that, but it's our first chase game. When we release it, it's a free title. When you sign up, you get a NFT. Your NFT inside of your wallet is your Mortal. That's great. It represents you, and there is a connection, and you will learn about this in the coming weeks, to all the immortals. Think of them as connected in a constellation. Lots of different people you're possibly related to, way bonuses work, a lot of rarities, a lot of things that give you bonuses in the economy, not in the game. The game is flat. Everyone starts equal. You get your thing, you jump in, you just start playing. You and your friends, me and Val, running around. She kills me on occasion, I kill her. We learn how the game works. This first one, as it's released, is a procedurally generated first-person shooter that has a combination of...
Just to be honest, that ain't gonna happen.
Probably not. Probably not. For the sake of story, it's fun. The first game as we're building is a physics-based movement system. First-person shooter, think of it as a cross between Mirror's Edge and Tony Hawk, that as you do various parkour movements through this very, very large city, the faster you get. But of course, if you break a combo, you get completely fucked, and it's a problem. Very high skill ceiling movement. Very happy with how it's turning out so far. We've got playable and networking going. We won't be sharing any of that soon, but in the coming months, you'll start to see more of it, and you've already started to see a great deal of the art. This game, free, have fun, go play, practice. It is the field that everyone learns to play soccer in the world, as much as you want. At some point, 6 months in, we decide that's enough, and we spend time on our side. No one sees it. But, well, the normal world's procedural, which means every map is slightly different but obeys rules. We utilize those rules to build one single permanent map. Now, in this map, it does not change. Nothing ever changes. There's the same kind of proceduralism, but instead we've built it, we've authored it, we've cared for every corner, we've built in story moments, we've built in meta story moments. We have a ton of random shit happening inside of this space. We love this little world and we decide to release it, but we don't release it to everyone. We release it to one server. And with it, we release 1,000 tickets of entry, one at a time. Numbered, very numbered. So I made an early Minecraft prototype that was very much this. And it's pretty great, so I'm excited for this. We release those tickets to the marketplace, auction, a lot of different ways it goes. Our immortals, based on where you're at in the caste system we've developed, get first pick of those. And you don't get to buy a mini, you don't get to buy all of them. It's not any silliness like that. But once you have one, you have the ability as a patron, effectively, to find your champion. And IFOS is great. Brooks is great. So people are going through, sure, it's easy in games to pick out the first 50. I can tell you who the top 100 players are in a game. Top 1,000 gets a lot more difficult. So we tell the world and all the players, this is open. If you want to take part, you have to affirmatively join. You have to allow yourself into this world. By doing so, you've opened yourself and you open your data. Again, as I said early on, it's your call. You don't have to join this. It's perfectly fine. But once you do, your data joins and we're able to see en masse, and everyone's able to see who takes part in the economy. All the players, who's good, kill death ratio, play hours, all of those fun things, and start whittling down who's the best player. And the immortal, I'm not done. The immortals, I'm not done.
Get done. We have more questions.
I've got to get through the whole thing because it's just complex enough, but it's necessary.
All right.
The way that this works, the immortals with these tickets then basically smart contract with a player. And the way that they work is very easy. I, as an immortal, I put in a handful of things that the system, the DAO, then reports to the player. I have Val, for example, as a player. We burn through, we say, you're going to play X number of hours. You're going to keep a kill death ratio above this point for 2 weeks. At that point, you are able to, I'm delegating you use of this ticket, this NFT. And that NFT then becomes the ticket to get in. And if Val wants to, if I want to, that's great. But once I have Val, that contract is mine as an immortal. I am able to sell that ticket. Of course, Val gets a cut, as we've agreed on in the smart contract, and not one that I pay her, but one that the system pays both of us based on that smart contract. As this system grows, I then can sell that ticket. And I sell it to Chris. I sell it to Jason. I sell it to anyone. Doesn't matter. Every time I sell it, royalties go to, we get ours, that's great, but royalties are taken out of that, and the royalties go into the prize pot. The prize pot is 10 to 15 to 20% set by the developer of all the money spent on those tickets. And suddenly, you actually have a very interesting dynamic. If each of the tickets is $1,000, you're talking about 10 grand to win this. That's pretty good. That's not bad for a shitty little runner game. But what happens if everyone starts selling those tickets, or they match with the wrong person and suddenly their ticket's fairly worthless? What do we do? How do we build this? Well, suddenly you have the positive feedback loop that exists very much in sports, that as the tournament increases in value, so do the tickets. As the tickets increase in value, so does the speculative market. As the speculative market dynamism increases, so does the value of the tickets. And it kind of continues like that, until ultimately someone wins, they make their way through, they get their percentage of the prize pot, and it goes to the next person, one at a time in order. And the server, unlike every other server before, doesn't turn off, it doesn't shut down, it doesn't restart. The person who plays, when they play, they start in exactly the same spot as everyone else, in exactly the same server, in exactly the same world. If I've killed a man and their body is left there, when Val starts up 100 tickets from now, she sees that body there, and the gun, perhaps, that he dropped. This permanence in this world extends to everything, not just to the player's life, which they're the ones putting on the line. And this championship occurs essentially seasonally. And this economy loop effectively is what we're putting into all sorts of games. It's a very light touch into the game itself. It's the kind of thing you can kind of imagine into a lot of different games. As I mentioned, speedrunning or chess, play for free as much as you want. You believe you're good enough, throw your hat in the ring, someone sponsors you, up you go, and if you fuck up, you're dead. That loop and that payout and the way that people are able to utilize that speculative market is exceptionally powerful, we think. Hope that explained it as a good ecosystem. That is very much the play. And there's a lot of games we expect to go into there with one central economy that is its own circle, and very much kept in a separate, special place. There we go. Sorry, Val. I had to sort of just dump it out.
I know you. I know Brooks gonna Brooks. That's it. Aries asks, can you expand on what you teased in your G Money interview when you talked about how you feel crypto can help change the gaming industry?
I don't know anyone in games who likes free-to-play as a model. It's a necessary evil, because the reality is you need a lot of players in your multiplayer game for it to be successful. Feel free to go play Battlefield 2042. It doesn't have a lot of players. It took me like 20 minutes to find a match, if I did. So you want a lot of base players. But how do you make money off a free game? I mean, that's how games work in the real world. Real sports are free. I can, with a soccer ball or with a beach ball or whatever, I can go play soccer with my son. He's 4. I'm not spending money. I'm not giving money to FIFA every time I do it. It's not free to play. It's just free. I'm to play. That mentality and that switch starts giving us a unique thing we can do. Crypto as a setup, as a way that it functions, we have mistaken as being very analogous to our world. It is a one-to-one. It's why we have introduced effectively scarcity in a system that doesn't need it. Digital world doesn't need scarcity. It doesn't. It's the beauty of the digital world is that we have infinite whatever the fuck we want. The beauty of NFTs, many people mistake. They think the beauty of NFTs is that there's value in them and all these. It's sort of. The beauty of NFTs as they exist, despite however ugly the art may be, is that we have found a way to singularize ownership while making mass sort of collective. You're clicking through, Val. Well, making the visibility of it, the collective real ownership. I can experience any NFT I want. That's amazing. We found a way to allow everyone to sort of share a thing, but only one person to own it, which is very much the opposite of the real world. So how do we take that into all of this? How do we allow shared ownership of things in games? Well, we're not. Instead, what we're doing is we're hardening the free-to-play model, where we're making it so there's only 100 guns of +2 damage. And you want one because it makes you better, and it makes everyone better. That's shit. That's shit. And everyone who's doing it knows it's shit. They just don't think there's a better option. I believe that crypto has that better option, because the predictive markets that are able to exist abstracted from the actual real items, real things, are themselves dynamic enough and interesting enough that we can allow them to exist as their own game, but also separate out the play of the things around them. This thesis is not shocking. I'm not the first person to think of it. There's a lot of academics who've talked about this. There's people in crypto actively very aware of this. Our investors across the board have a very strong awareness of this, and I talk to them about this all the time. And they've just been waiting and trying to figure out how to make that leap. How do you get it so everyone is effectively able to see a movie, but one dude pays for it? That is broken in our world. We have to have everyone pay for it. You have to have the consumer there. NFTs and crypto don't have a consumer, not in the same way. They have speculators. And that's a really strange thing. And it's kind of amazing.
Speaking of buying things, Mustached asked, when and where can I buy land? And what would people use it for?
Land is, again, everything I'm saying, take with the awareness we're not building Second Life. So when I talk about things, I'm talking about a abstracted side and also an experience side. We will have land. Our world in our city is deeply important to us, and it's big to us that the dynamic side of our economy be as vibrant as possible. For us, we have a large city. You may have seen early pieces of it. You will see more of it. It is a circular-ish space, the world of Korra. In the middle of it is our current stadium, where we're building and what we're building, the Arena Perilous, as we've been calling it. And I just adore that name. The way the Arena Perilous essentially functions is it is where all the players go, all the mortals. Mortals don't really go out in the city very often. There's some very specific needs for it, but all the immortals have been here for years, and they own land. There's a lot of it, and they have a lot of needs for it. The way that it's going to operate for us is it's going to sort of tie into this larger economy. You will be able to have very much, how to put it, without getting into too much detail in specific ways, because we're still designing parts of it. When you go to a game, like a stadium, the stadium doesn't exist in a bubble. The best stadiums and the worst stadiums, you're able to see directly around them kind of the success of the team. And it's a really strange thing. The higher end, the fancier the businesses and the bars and the places, the more packed they may be. This is not a thing that contributes directly to the success of any team, but it is certainly correlated. That's a very strange reality around the way, again, sports operates in our world. So what if we had land that around the stadium, or stadiums, as we'll have multiple games, we're able to take part in that and be part of that dynamic back and forth, not directly causative, but correlative. If I were able to have, say, a team building, that I'm able to sponsor a team, have mortals stay with me, gain bonuses from that, utilize staking, all of these things that are very traditional to the crypto world, but do it inside of a space that is really playing in the metagame still. Again, that very tight circle that I believe is important to the economy, to keep it where it needs to be and to not interfere elsewhere, and also not be exploited. As I said in my talk on Delphi, and I said with G-Money, one of the big problems that I have with traditional free-to-play and a lot of play-to-earn is there is a mistake that people who spend a lot of money make, that they believe that they're skilled, because the games are essentially designed to make you think that as you spend money to skip a bunch of levels or to get to an area that no one else can access, you believe you did that, and you didn't. You paid for it. And that trick that happens is pretty insidious. And so for us, the ability for us to keep that separate is big. The land is a big way for us to do that and to have a lot of fun, from sponsorships to broadcast towers for our streaming components that we're building into the games, because we will have that. And when I say sponsorships, I don't mean patrons. I mean straight up Tide stickers on NASCAR sponsorships that we're going to be integrating for players to be able to take advantage of. There's a lot of really fun things we can abstract with crypto that we simply couldn't before. I'm really jazzed for it. Hopefully that answered the question. Sorry, I can talk. You fucking know this. I can just go.
I know you can. I know you can. And also, I just want to respond to you reprimanding me earlier for my typing noises. I'm a social butterfly.
I'm not reprimanding. I just saying.
I like the word reprimanding. Anyway, so let's move on, because we have a bunch of questions about NFTs. Like you mentioned the first 81 NFTs and the 729, and people want to know, like, how do they get them? What's the difference between the 81 and the 729? What form will they take? We have just several questions about that from different people. So let's talk NFTs now.
So our immortals, which are the NFTs you're talking about, when we talk about the 81, or you see on our thing with the NFTs are coming, it's the immortals. This is a whitelisting for our economy, effectively. Each generation of them gets increasingly broader. We want to make sure that people who don't have a shit ton of crypto or experience in crypto, or there's still some level where they have to make a leap. It's not just sign into a website and deal with all of that. It's you get it, you're part of it. But we want to make sure that there's lots of layers. So the 81 is the second generation. We have a story element that's coming that is focused around the story of the 9, the creation of the immortals, and the world that they lived in, and the world they do live in. Because ultimately, the story effectively goes that the world of immortality was discovered, and many eons, millennia, millions of years passed as the one who discovered passed on to the 9, and the 9 passed on to the 81 passed on to the 729, and so on. Multiple generations. There's going to be a good number of them, but each one is a subsequent whitelist to the previous. And there is a tiered system and a caste system.
Is that where the luminaries come in?
Luminaries are going to be, again, it's how we're going to be utilizing that as part of that. But yes, it ties into very much the way we're doing the 729, the way we're doing also the next generation and the one after. You can see the number, how it goes. It's a pretty exponential by 9 growth. Each one is successively slightly less powerful inside of our space, and there's reasons for that. They do all have very unique ways of also interacting, because it's not just a simple generational thing. Who you're related to of the 9 matters. Random things that are being added in, the little bonuses, you'll find little elements within the NFTs that grant you access to different things, and little special things we're really excited about showing inside of the economy and game world. That's the idea. They'll be popping soon. I think we're a couple weeks out.
Okay. Candor asks, will there be any plans for integration of other projects, prominent NFT, PFP projects, other NFT game projects, etc.? If so, what would that look like?
So one of the things I can say, it won't be, and the answer is yes, absolutely. We're very friendly. Our buddies at the Fluff World group, who are early investors and friends, we're talking to them about this actively and working on some very interesting things there. It won't be that you will be running around as a rabbit inside of our games. The Fluff World will have instantiations inside of our setup. Partner setups will, and it's each one is going to be unique. Think of it very much less as I get to be this profile pic inside of this world. That doesn't work for us. But instead, what would the instantiation of this look like inside of NOR? And that takes a lot of different shapes. Whether you're an immortal or an immortal, the ability for you to bring those things in is very different. So we want to make sure we encourage that. and we sort of cross-pollinate, and we work with our stuff inside of other worlds. Also not probably bringing permadeath to Fluff, just as Fluff, I don't think, wants to just bring rabbits to our setup, but instead play sort of in a slightly different space, and I think a fun one.
What kind of setup and what kind of hardware can we play on?
So we are setting,
I'm sorry, that was from, Mayo Mayo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. That's an interesting handle. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's so we're building an Unreal 5. So that's I'm an Unreal person. We will have games in other platforms and other game engines. Yeah, I mean it quite literally. Unreal was the first game engine I ever learned to really use effectively because
I know what you meant, but it was just such a perfect thing.
It's where I cut my teeth. It was my first demo reel, all of that stuff. So I have a touch there, and plus a lot of the leadership at Epic happen to be people I've worked with and I respect greatly. So I have a lot of friends over there. So we'll be in UE5 for this first title. We're not building something that's hyper realistic with an exceptional amount of needs. It's not ray tracing, whatever. I have no idea. But the goal for us is to have as many people as possible. So I expect most modern everything to play on it, and mobile devices too, within reason. We're not League of Legends wide, and we're not Crossfire wide, but we're not going to be, the tippity top. You need a 3090 to play it.
If I defeat my opponent, can I collect his weapon? That's an AFOS question.
Yes, I mean, that's the idea. So in the final round, if IFO sees me and I'm hunting and I've got my great gun, yes, very much the idea is that you're able to continue to use those items. And also, if you want to talk about ways that crypto can do some extraordinary stuff, one of my favorite social experiments of all time was the red balloon test. MIT grad students were put under this test of, I've placed 10 red balloons around the United States. You need to find it, and I'll give you $50,000. And each team had to figure out how to do it. The most efficient way to do it, it turns out, was simply to post rewards and say that whoever finds it will get $1,000. Whoever found them will get 500. Whoever found them will get 250, and kind of creating this chain all the way back. It took them, I think, a day, which is insane. It's worth Googling and looking up. Crypto, we can check provenance. What that's being used for now is, oh, look, this is the gun Brooks used, which only goes so far. People don't really give that much of a shit about it. But where it gets interesting is when we start doing payouts, because it turns out that IFOS won and defeated the tournament or killed someone who had a bounty on their head, but did it with Brooks's gun. And Brooks's gun, it's not just Brooks who gets a reward, but Brooks's gun was actually found by Val, who found it in the corner over here by killing this other guy. Well, actually, that was found, and we can trace back and reward everyone who's part of that entire discussion. It's a big deal. The weapon itself is not an NFT. This is not what we're doing. That is not the thing we're doing in game, but it is something we're doing in the final round, but it's not a trophy you can then resell as a thing that you can then use in game elsewhere. You will not be able to buy things that affect gameplay. Moments, story beats, trophies, things you hang on the wall, different thing entirely, especially for the champions.
Goes to what we were talking about earlier with the city and buying land. One of our Discord regulars was not able to be here today. So AFOS is asking a question on his behalf. Still big Kev, we miss you. We wish you were here. He's often talking about having his, Kev's Bar and Grill in Quora. So
yes.
I'm guessing that's not going to happen. He can't have even a hot dog cart, right?
Well, no. It's again, this comes down to how we're going to be utilizing the land and how the land around the stadiums is done by the people who own it. Our setup is as much as possible to step out of the way and to enable people to do things. That is very much the play. Now, will there be a giant city that you're able to join like Second Life or Grand Theft Auto and walk around and walk into Kevin's bar and order a beer and all of that? I mean, I'm not building that. But again, we're not building it not to have that. If you're interested in building that or someone is interested in building that, this is open. We aren't a closed system. We're going to be a DAO. the DAO has to allow it at some point. But if someone wants to build like the literal Kevin's Bar experience, sure. The ability for us to have that setup, or what that means in the space, a gathering place that people are able to take part and watch games together, which is to me what Kevin's Bar would be. Yes, we will have the ability to have that sort of thing. Will you walk around in it? I'm not building it, but we're not stopping anyone else from building that either. The goal here, like I believe most crypto should be, is to allow what to happen, because we're just a system that people can join and take part in. And it's very, very, very much intended to be fully open. And Kevin's Bar is very much, early when you guys were talking about that, I was cracking up, because it's that kind of thing that we want. We want the memey, weird moments, because that's what makes, just like in real cities next to real stadiums, that's what makes the community around these things exist. The worlds that we have around Dota or League of Legends don't have a literal bar. People are trying to do that, but that's not the setup. What they have is literal discords where actively people have their favorite person. They go, they socially deal with other people. They drink together as they watch championships. I know I'm on a few Action Slacks as an example. They have communities. They have these setups. We want to enable this. This is very much inside of the idea behind all of it.
Time in Ultima Online, which was the first MMO that I played, was a bunch of us, and I was the only actual female. The rest of them were all dudes. And we role played a group of Girl Scouts that were going around selling milk and cookies. It was actually a distraction to help a friend of ours who was like hunting the player killers in the dungeons. So we were like a little decoy, and we would go around selling milk and cookies in our little scout uniforms, and it was hilarious. So that's the kind of off the beaten path stuff that I enjoy doing. I am terrible at PvP. Like somebody hits me and I'm just like, whoa, did somebody hit me? And by the time I realize, yeah, somebody's actually hitting you, dumbass, and you need to fight back, I'm dead. So the little side quests and things like Kevin's Bar and Grill are going to be the things that I enjoy in NOR, is like just hearing the stories and seeing what people do. That's what I love about games. All right, we got a couple more questions, and then we're gonna have to wind it down. We have 3 questions, so let's bang these out, and then we'll have closing thoughts.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, I know, I know. Nobrew91 asks, if I understood correctly, the final fights will be seasonal. How long will one season last?
That's very much up to the developers. Seasons are an interesting thing in any sport. Like, you want to make sure that you give everyone a chance to really play, practice, suss out who's the best, who's the worst, where the team standings are, where the player standings are. And with that, you want to enable, enough excitement to sort of build, but also the developers to build that final round. Because again, it's a different setup as we're talking about it. The main world is procedural, Fortnite, Minecraft style, where everything is going. This is how we're doing it. Everyone's going to have their own setup. But building that final one is an authored, complex thing. So it's going to take as much time as it requires. It's a game by game basis. Our goal personally is to keep it within 4 to 5 months. But again, don't quote me on that, because that's going to be a fun one, I think, as we go.
Okay, I think this is our last question from Evos. Will we be able to wager, whether it be monetary or items collected as characters, on the battles that take place in the Arena Perilous or other stadiums?
Wagering is an interesting word here. I would, I'd hesitate to say yes, because wagering tends to be to me at least, it means the horse racing. I walk up to the teller and I say, give me 100 on Mama's daddy to place, or something like that. And we're able to, to me, that's wagering. I talk about us, what we're doing, not that. It's much more of the predictive market in the way that the stock exchange works, because each player is effectively building its own sort of value with the data behind it, the way it's playing. As that happens, you are able to take part and invest in players and in NFTs of players and contract with them in a lot of creative ways, only one of which I've mentioned today. There's a lot more to come as we talk about building teams. These are contracts You don't just randomly have someone join and then pray you have a team. You need to build these things. We need to have them set up so that way people know who's on whose team and that people are locked into it, that we're able to keep that visible. And so I put it much more in line with NFT predictive markets, or what people are doing inside of stock markets in general, that there's value that grows, there's potential that grows, and you're much more dealing with people directly than wagering. I'm very hesitant to say we're even slightly similar to that. It's a different mentality around it, I think.
And here's our last question from the undisputed meme king in Discord, Jay Doonan. That dude is just a meme master. Will you be able to message modify your character's appearance?
Yes, and no. So in game, no. As far as when you're playing the game directly and running around and shooting people, what you're seeing, you will not see anyone's custom anything. However, the way our system's built, if you are streaming with our streaming setup, people will be able to see all the crazy crap you're wearing, but not the players. One of the parts of my talk with Delphi, and it's worth looking up Team Fortress silhouettes versus Overwatch. I adore the piece this artist did talking about it, because it's been an important thing in a lot of games. In Dota, it's exceptionally important, silhouette rules around cosmetics, and they've kind of done away with a lot of it, and so it's a shame. It's important for a player that when they see a thing, they know what it is. And we want to make sure that if you see red guy, we're not doing blue guy, red guy, but it's an example. You see red guy, red guy bad, or blue guy bad, or the shape of a person isn't modified to have wings, and you're like, wait, what are wings? Oh, I'm dead. These things are elements that stop a person's instant reaction from properly working, I guess would be the way to put it. If it makes your brain work even a second longer, you get completely fucked in these games, just in every way. And so for us, the players won't be able to see anything. You can have a lot of vanity items. Nothing happens in game, but our streaming system will see all of it, and you can be a little wild. We're really excited to see what we can do with that system and reveal more about that later.
So questions. Everybody's so excited. I was watching the general chat, and it's gone really well today. Before we wrap it up, I want to thank Sunny Girl, who had to go to bed. Like, this is the wrong time of day for her, for where she is in the world. But she was so good about putting together a Google Doc where people could drop the questions that they wanted to ask during the AMA. And you preemptively went in and told them, like, some of these I can't answer. So I think that helped things go smoother today. So thank you, Sunny Girl. And we're sorry that you couldn't be here. Do you have any closing thoughts? Is there anything that you feel like you didn't get to say?
Two
That's a
things.
dangerous question to ask you.
I will do my best not to answer terribly long. The first is I do want to say I was really excited to do this, Emma, because we have a weird Discord. I've spent a lot of time in the last year or two in Discords for crypto stuff, and it's the vibes are not my jam, I guess I'll say, generally. And this one is much nicer to spend time in, and people are very different. I've enjoyed sort of the tone. I'm very happy about that. The second thing I'll say is, as we get going, we have the rest of the questions. We have a lot more to reveal, and it's going to take some time, because as I opened, and it will be my closing thoughts, the most important thing is that at no point do I say a thing that we go back on, because I only have one chance to keep people's trust, because we're doing something so fucking different. We're not just, doing more free to play. We're not just doing another play to earn. We're not just making another auto chess this or sandbox this that kind of is copy and paste. We're doing something very different. And to maintain that and to be able to do that successfully, we can't fuck up. And so I know I was a bit hesitant on some things. I overshared some stuff, which I'm happy about, but really glad to be able to share more over time, and I appreciate you bearing with us very much.
I appreciate everybody that showed up today. We had some great questions. Whitelisting, that gets asked a lot. Are you prepared to answer the
So I will say we're not going to do I can promise we're not going to do a lot of the stuff I see where it's whitelist if you get 100 people on Twitter to retweet you, or get us follows, or if your invite link generates blah, blah, blah clicks. At some point, a whitelist will be going up. Just be watching the Discord. When that happens, it is going to just be a first come, first serve. And we are going to have ways to stop people from signing up multiple accounts. We've got a lot of fun shit like that. It's going to be no games, no bullshit, and we're going to be going.
And you've straight up told people, because we had a period of time there where people were coming in and just, hi, I like pie. I like cheese on my pie. And they were just like spamming up the Discord channels. And you said, hey, that's not how you're going to get whitelisted.
Correct.
Here.
Correct.
And then the spammers went away. So I just want to reiterate that. Don't come in and spam our Discord.
No, again, we're not doing any games. There is a set of things we're doing around what we've called the luminaries, the people who happened to just join first before we even announced that we existed, which freaks me out how many people did that. Like genuinely freaks me out. But we're not playing bullshit games. Like, we're just not going to play bullshit games because it ruins stuff. The chat thing, very specifically as an example, to me is, again, about the magic circle, the same fucking thing we're trying to fix. Because if I tell you, hey, if you post 10,000 messages in our Discord, you're going to get whitelisted. Are you going to make good messages and try to make good conversation? Or are you just going to post random bullshit things in order to get through? It's the same thing. Everyone does random bullshit things. It's, as you were saying, so
it irritates me. It makes me cranky. It makes me mute people.
It's awful. And so it's, again, the core idea for us is we want everything you're doing to be just the thing. We don't want people to be in the moment thinking about something coming in the future. In the moment, do the thing. Be watching. We're not going to like have weird games. We're not going to do any bullshit. This is straight up the magic circle, the thesis through and through in every fucking part of the entire thing we're building. It's incredibly important. Like I'm a zealot about this. I can't even, I know I'm saying this to my Discord. I'm a fucking zealot with this. The shit that I say to people in private telegrams is about them, about them and the games they're making, is not pleasant. I very much believe this. And I know most people do. And I know most people who are building games that don't follow these rules. They have a sadness and a confusion about like, what are you talking about? And it's a big deal to me that we do this right.
Excited. I can't wait to see where all of this goes. And I'm proud of you. I'm going to end it with that so I don't get all verklempt, but I'm so proud of you. And I love this community. So if you are watching the video on demand later and you're not watching it live in our Discord, then we hope you will come to our Discord and just hang out and, you know, be friendly.
Say hi.
Share memes.
We drop in. We're gonna be doing more of these. We're gonna be doing random fireside stuff. I'm gonna be joining with a couple people. We're gonna be playing games and talking about them and the issues behind them and what's good and what's bad and you know, having these conversations. And it's not just going to be games like, you know, first person shooters, but the meta games, the economies, talking about what's happening on OpenSea and how they're literally one of the things I'm talking about as sort of this weird meta game that's kind of broken other games. And it's going to be really interesting. And I really look forward to discussing all of it with you guys.
Keep an eye out for like follow-up questions and comments, and we'll do another AMA when we do it.
Very much.
Maybe another month. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Very much.
Bye, Brooks. This was fun.
It was great. Thank you guys, for sure. and to the couple of people who are wishing well, Chasing Tails and a few others, my daughter's going to be born Monday at this point, if it's not sooner. So thank you very much for the well wishes and the family. Appreciate it very much. I'll talk to you all soon.